My dear respected brothers, elders in Islam, we have the grandson of Maulana Dawood Lobi, Imam Dawood Lobi, from the Western Cape. He is a graduate of Darul Uloom Newcastle. Newcastle, it produces radical black Muslims, I must say. And it's good for that. And Maulana, he went on to study and achieved a BA in political science and an honors in political science after his graduation from Darul Uloom Newcastle. And then after that, he went to serve in the South African Defense Force as a lead practitioner of the Arabic language. Imagine that. Yeah. Some of you might think that, Pella, when the embassies when our South African embassies are sending ambassadors to Arab countries, they don't send us because we don't possess control of the language. But here, we have leaders. It's not only him. In fact, I'm also looking at my leader sitting in front of me, our leader, Zaid Langa. They are practitioners in the Arabic language. What do we need if we want something? Without wasting time, let us all welcome our leader, Maulana Fuad Lobi. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't know where to start, and I see all the eyes are looking at me, and it's making it more difficult. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. As I said earlier on, I don't know where to start because I tried to run away from here, but you know the Amir of the Shura, he was just behind me. I even tried and I left the province, he followed me. And I realized that this man's jurisdiction is very wide. So very soon he might block me everywhere. So let me attend the conference and try and do my best. I don't know whether Sheikh Vuyoye mentioned what I am supposed to speak about, but the origin of this proposal that I must come and address here and talk about the role of Ulamās among the black community, it started with Sheikh Zaid Langa. When he saw an article that I wrote, I tried to make it a summary after I wrote a thesis about the history of Islam in the townships, and I concentrated in Langa. Then after that, I wrote an article, and I wrote 50 years, plus 50 years, and nothing to celebrate. When I showed him this, he requested when he started proposing this conference that I should come and present what I wrote about the history of Islam in South Africa. I wrote it in 2010, and I said 50 plus years and nothing to celebrate. I was talking about the history of Islam among the black community. And then I wrote 50 plus years and nothing to celebrate. I want people to highlight that one. When I started this, I quoted from Sheikh Ahmed Didat, who used to say, "So asleep are the Muslims in a clear road, and so are awake are the Christians in a dark road." This is what Sheikh Ahmed Didat used to say. And I say, if we have to take the history of Islam and Christianity in South Africa, it's almost the same, if it's not the same. Because Hamsin, in his book, Islam in South Africa, he wrote, I quote, "In 1667, the first followers of the Prophet Muhammad, I put myself, peace and blessings be upon him, were brought to the Cape as political prisoners and slaves, who clung tenaciously to their religion and formed the nucleus of Muslims in South Africa." And he goes on to say, "who today number over 100,000 souls, including Asiatic, Coloureds, and Africans." Hampson wrote this book. When he was writing this, it was in 1967. You see. So, he talks about how Islam came to South Africa. When we can say Islam got into South Africa, we can trace years before that. We can talk about the likes of Zimbabwe. We can talk about the state that were there, the likes of Mapungubwe and so forth, and how the Arabs used to come and trade in beads and so forth in our shores. But trying to establish an authentic history that we can say, written history of today, not saying that one before is not authentic. We say a written history can trace for us up to 1667. But if we look at these two religions, they came almost at the same time. But if we look into Christianity, when we look into Christianity, we realize that even a black person outside who does not go to church will tell proudly that he's a Christian. He feels he's a Christian. And when he sees a black person, the same person who's a Christian will tell you that you are lost. Why? Because Christianity was made his baby, his responsibility, so he must take it forward. Whereas we can't say the same about how Christianity, how Islam was given to the black community. We fast forward to another authentic time that we can say these are the right times. From 1600 we go to the 1950s up to the early 60s. This is the time we can recall the likes of Mr. Shamil Kula. We can talk about Mr. Kamane in Kukuletu. Mr. Shamil Kula was in Nyanga East, what used to be called Nyanga West. We can talk about the likes of Imam Zimasile Fuad Lobi in Langa. We can talk in Philippi of Mr. Hassan Gila. These are the people we can say are the roots of what we have today in the townships of Langa, Kukuletu, Nyanga East, extending up to Khayelitsha. These are the people who started the Dawah of Islam. And these people were the students of the late Imam Harun. The late Imam Harun, he started going to the townships, doing dawah there. But you know, sometimes, in order for something to happen, most of the time, just oppress the people. Something will happen. Once you open the flood, most of the time, people will do nothing. Because at the time, Imam Harun, rahimahullah, used to go and do dawah in the townships. At that time, when you enter Langa, there was a border gate there. And he was only given 2 hours to enter and do dawah in Langa. Every Saturday, he will go there. Only 2 hours. He must be there from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock. By 4 o'clock, he must go, and he must get a permission to enter. But he did dawah. But today, the gates, the flood, everybody can go. There is less happening. So, I said, if we look into these people, we can realize these are the time. If they have to wake up and come back, they will look and they will say, so close, but yet so far. Because we have not done much for Islam. Now, going to Christianity, what this has, this was supposed to start with knowledge. This was supposed to start with knowledge. Going to time, let us look at Christianity. In 1855, the likes of John Knox Bokwe, I quote from Miller in a Dictionary of African Christian Biography. What happened here, John Knox Bokwe is honored as one of the most celebrated Xhosa hymn writers. He was a member of the Ngqika Mbamba clan and was born in Tselamanzi near Lovedale on 15 March 1855. This is the man we are talking about. He is celebrated as one of the hymn writers of Christian books. Can we have the same person in the Muslim community? The guess is mine. In 1875, Bokwe started to compose hymns. He visited Scotland and sang his hymns in tenor voices at social gatherings. I'm still quoting. He returned to Scotland for training and was ordained into Presbyterian ministry in 1906. I'm saying Islam came to South Africa 1667. That is the time we can say the slaves came here. And look at him, 1906, he was ordained as a Christian, or he was ordained as a ministry in the Presbyterian. So, beside him, let us look at the likes of Tiosoka. I heard the doctor here singing one of his songs, Lizalise Idinga Lakho. This is the man who wrote some of the hymns that today the Wesleyan church around wherever it is singing some of his hymns. And this man is from Eastern Cape, where we are talking about Tiosoka. Tiosoka was the first African ministry to be ordained into the ministry of Presbyterian Church in South Africa. He was born in Gwali in 1829. At the time that Chief Makoma was expelled from the K River. Mr. Tiosoka went abroad also to further his studies of Christianity. What happened? A principal in Lovedale. Lovedale is one of the most famous institutions. I don't know if it's still there or what, but it's one of the great institutions that has produced the likes of many of our political leaders. Even the likes of Sobukwe was a student of Lovedale. A principal there, the Rev. William Govens, was a principal of Lovedale, decided to return to Scotland. He decided to return to Scotland. While he was returning in Scotland, a mother requested, and this is what they say. A mother requested him that, please take my son with you. Take my son with you to Scotland. So they asked him to take to. And in 1879, around that time, he was one who was ordained also in 1879, not in 1906, like John Knox Bokwe. So, we can talk about many Christian scholars, the likes of Bishop Tutu, the likes of Archbishop Jongonkulu Ndungane, and the list is endless. And how many graduates were there by 2010 within our community? The issue here, the main aim here, is to say a black community, in order to stand for their religion, they must be educated. You know, there is a mistake that many people are making. They always take light politics, they always take religion light. Everybody wants to talk as a politician. Everybody wants to talk as a religious scholar. It's not like that, comrade. You must go and study, then you can talk. Because reading books on your own, our ulamas used to say, if you read on your own, don't worry, shaitan will teach you. Because the interpretation that will come from that Quran, you will make your own interpretation. Whereas, if you study by ulamas, you will sit down and you will get a chance to get the real tafsir before you make your own conclusion and be in a direction. But the black community, I am telling you, Sheikh Zaid here can try to say he is talking to us, we won't listen to him because all of us were ulamas. We don't want to hear anything. Look at Darul Ulum Newcastle. Darul Ulum Newcastle was established 1973. And if we talk about the history of Islam in the townships of Langa, Kukuletu, Nyanga East, as I said, that this topic was concentrating in Langa. Those people there, they joined Islam in the late 50s, early 60s. But what happened to them? Those people, they were not educated in deen. 1973, Darul Ulum Newcastle was established around the corner. And we grew up in the township. Everybody was promising us about Medina in Egypt. Nobody was telling us about Darul Ulum Newcastle around the corner. When I went to Darul Ulum Newcastle, 1999, the first thing I asked here, how long this Darul Ulum has been here? They said it was established 1973. And I asked, was it so difficult to take just a large number of black people and put them in this Darul Ulum so that we produce ulamas who will take the deen forward? That was the question I asked. You understand? Maulana Qasim Sima, he opened that Darul Ulum. May Allah give him Jannatul Firdaus. In 1973, this is where people were supposed to have been taken if you don't want to take them very far. But Alhamdulillah, only in 1997, I quote, and I repeat myself, only in 1997, we saw in Langa Kukuletu, Kaili Chapatin Kukuletu, first alim coming out of there was Sheikh Ismail Kamani. 1997, from the work that should have been done in 1667, in 1960, 1950s. 1950s up to 1960s. Only in 1997 we saw Sheikh Ismail Kamani and we started to say, there is a back alim. So how are we going to take deen forward? The role of ulamas, it's simple. The role of ulamas in the township is to take deen forward. And without the knowledge, we cannot take the deen forward. May Allah make it easy for all of us. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.